Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the Niche Navigator, coming to you live with another guest. Happy New Year. This is our first show for the year. And last week, our guest had an emergency, so she couldn't join. But we are here together and we are talking to our guest. Guess what? She's all the way across from the pond. She's in the UK and she is a women enhancer and a success coach. But before we get to her, I would like to welcome everybody into Munira's Musings. This is our 5th season. We are going live, we are going strong, and we are sharing what we are doing. The Niche Navigator, as a Niche Navigator, what I do is I help folks take the skills they have and repurpose it to what they want to do, because there's so many transferable skills that we have and we don't know how to use them. So that's what I do. But the biggest thing that's happening this year is speaking and communicating by way of podcasts. So stay tuned, because there's a program coming up soon and we are going to talk about getting on podcasts, having your own podcast, and everything communicating with podcasts. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you Mary Mcguire, all the way from the UK. Welcome to Munira's Musings, Mary.
Well, thank you, Munira. It's a real pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me on your show.
You are welcome. So you are an author, you are a women's success coach, and you enhance women. Tell me what you do.
So I've had one of those interesting lives where I've gone through lots of paths and lots of different roles and things, and I'm sure we'll get into some of that in the conversation. But what I focus on now is how to help women find success in their career. And the reason I do that is because I've got 20 years of international business experience where I've been going in as an advisor, helping some of the world's biggest companies deal with their tricky strategic problems and helping them to solve them. And through the years that I've been doing that, what I was seeing and what I was observing was, after delivering a big challenge, a big project or important results for a company, the project team seemed to split into those who did well as a result of it and those that didn't. And there was a disproportionate number of those that didn't do well after the projects that were women. And that made me think, why aren't women doing as well as men when they deliver the same, they're adding the same value, they're performing at the right level to be seen as promotable, but they're not getting there? And it comes down to a number of things. So I created coaching programs. I do corporate group coaching programs, and I do individual coaching programs through things like my Professional Women's Playbook, to help women to find the way to their success in their own way. And it helps women to work out how to accelerate their leadership ambition and craft their career on their own terms.
Awesome. So you were working, can you tell us what you were doing in the corporate world?
Yeah, and I still work for corporate. So I go into large organizations and help them with various things. So it could be to do with leadership and leadership development and helping the leaders to align to new organizational goals to do with the competitive environment or new strategy or whatever it is. Or I go in and help with processes. So are the way that people are doing things and the tasks they're doing in the right way, in the right order, with the right people, and are they clear about them, and help get clarity around that? Or I help them where they're actually putting in a new technology system or something like that, in terms of the change management about that. How do you make this clear to people about why we're making this change, why it's beneficial, and what they need to do differently? So most of my 20 years has been helping organizations in them areas.
So are organizations open to change?
Yes and no, because they're a little bit like people. So an organization is just a collective of all of the people in it, and us as humans have this real contrast It's a split personality with us in that we absolutely need change to survive. So we recognize that at a fundamental level that we need to change to survive, and we have to adapt to things that are going on. And there's another part of us which says, I don't want to change. I know my routine. I know my life. I know the way it is. I want to keep it exactly the way it is. Don't bother me. And we have these two contrasting things that are going on. All of us individuals have that, by the way. It's that real contrast about how to be open to change without being either overwhelmed or threatened by it. And at an organisational level, you see all of that happening because all of the collective people in it are having them two conversations going on in them. So yes, organisations recognise the need to change. They know at a fundamental level that's important, because without adapting, you die. But at another level, it's hard, it's difficult, and it's very easy to hold on to what they know at the moment and what works for them at the moment.
That's awesome, right? I mean, the way you explained it is awesome. But here's the thing. You then find women who are not prone to change or are scared to change, and then help them take them to the next level. Are they all scared, or...
Not quite. The change issue is more my consulting. As a coach, I am usually finding women who come to me who are ready for change, but they don't know how to take them steps. So they've already at some level made a decision they want things to be different. So they want their career to be different, or their relationships to be different, or what opportunities come to them. So they're already recognizing that change, and then it's more how. And most of the women who I work with are working out, how do I change, not should I change?
You know, right. And so why do you think, you've been working with women for a while, why do you think that women are, should we say, hesitant about taking that next step? I mean, what's changing? Why are they so frightened?
Well, I think that there's three things, and these are the three premises that I built the book on and my coaching programs. The first one is that women know how to be extraordinary leaders. So they're no less skilled than men in their ability to be a really strong leader in an organisation, in a team, in a community. So it's not how to be a leader that is their issue. And that leads me to the second premise, which is when women are working in any environment really, but particularly the one I focus on is the corporate environment, they're often working on an uneven playing field. And what I mean by that is it's ever so slightly tilted towards men being seen as more appropriate, more better, more suited, more natural leaders than women. That's not at a conscious level. So organisations don't say that, but all of our leadership history, our models, even the language we use is very male and masculine in its approach. So in that, we create this distortion around, if we have a man and a woman of equal qualifications going for a leadership role, ever so slightly is tilted towards the man's more likely to be successful. Clearly that doesn't happen all the time, because we do have women leaders, but we still only have about 30% female leaders to 70% male, even though our population is 50-50. So clearly that imbalance is there. And then the third one is the one that actually where coaching helps is how to take action. So knowing something doesn't help us to make a change. Reading about it, going on a course, speaking to other people, none of that makes a change. It's the actions we take that make the difference to our world, make a difference to our situation. So it's what are the steps we can take? What are the habits we can do? What are the micro steps we can even take that allow us to see things differently? And they're the bits that women struggle with. It's like, they may have a sense of, yes, I'm a good leader. I've got to compete even more than my male counterparts to be seen as a leader. But what do I do? And it's how do we create them steps? Some of them are the language we use. Some of them are our body language. Some of them are the boundaries we put in. And some of them are the ways that we communicate out to the world what we're about and what we're expecting from our career.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned twice that you have created, you wrote this book, and that's your coaching in a nutshell, without you, for the book. But tell us what significant changes have women who have worked with you made, and what success stories, can you share one?
I can share many, actually. I think that the most important one is more of a personal one, and then I'll explain what happens there. The most important one is a personal one. Is the women that I work with suddenly get an awareness of how they're viewing their career and what they maybe are allowing to happen around them without their taking control of, or being very passive about their situation and allowing things to unfold around them. So by being aware of that, and then using some of the tools that I've got in the book, like a career map and a career compass, they can be much more specific about what they want from life, what they want from their career, what they want from their job, what they want from their organization, and then be more explicit about stating that. That already really moves them along hugely in their career, because many of us, not just women, but many of us in our career tend to be haphazard and just allow things to unfold. There is few that aren't, that are very, very strategic and know what they want, but actually they're in the minority. So just getting women into that mindset of taking more control and thinking more helps. What I find is the outcomes is we work out what is it they're trying to achieve. So over the last year, I've had many of them that have reached a promotion that they were looking for. Some of them, certainly one woman, she had tried for that promotion 3 times and not succeeded. And what we worked out in our coaching programs was that inadvertently she was giving out mixed messages about what she wanted. And it was like, okay, let's really define your priorities and then work out how you have the right conversations in your workplace for you to be really clear that you do want the job and you're ready for it and you want to do it. And that happened, and she got promoted. I got a lovely email about a month ago to say that had happened. A second one was somebody who was ready to make the next step, a big jump in her career, but she was in an organisation that was really holding her back. It wasn't recognising the skills that she had and what she was capable of. And what I'm very good at, in a way that you clearly are very good at, Munira, because this is the way you're working people, is seeing the nuggets of gold in people. What are the things they've got that make them really special, make them really talented, and bring something unique that is theirs? And I could see with this particular client that there was something very specific in her, that she could work on a much bigger stage, take a global role, take a role where she would be the head of a function and actually take that on and do well in it. And that's what we really talked about. Now, at the time we started that conversation, she didn't see that in herself, and certainly her organisation would have said it would have taken her another 5 or 10 years to get to that point. So we talked about how does she really package that up and go out to the marketplace and be really, really specific about what type of role, what type of organisation, what are her values, what are the values she's looking at for them. And she did that. And after the third application, all of them were successful. The third one, she found the right company. She's gone to a head of global function role, and she's doubled her salary in that one jump.
Awesome. All right. So what in your we're running out of time. If you're joining us right now, we're talking to Mary Mcguire, who is a woman enhancer in Mind Map, because that's the one that comes up today. So what I'm asking her right now is that we see women holding back. And I know what you mentioned was the mindset, right? It's always the mindset that you have to work on first. What tip for our listeners would you give and say, if they can't work with you right now, what tip would you say to them that, hey, this is how you can start changing your mindset?
Yeah, great. So go out and promote your work, in summary, and I'll tell you what I mean by that is most of us, and there will be some who are entrepreneurs and they can still use the same approach, but those who are in an organisation and in an employed role, is don't wait for your annual performance review or your half-year review to think about what you are doing well in your job right now. is write down the things that you are doing, that you're doing well, things that you've achieved, things that you've delivered, some of the results that you've done, and how they're impacting on other parts of the teams and the businesses. Just take some time and review that. And once you've got that picture, is go out and find some allies who you are going to tell that story to, and actually see whether they can help you to do even more of the great work you're doing. Now, the allies are people, there could be a range of people who could be your allies. There could be people in your personal network. There could be people like your actual line manager, and taking the time to talk to them about what you've done and what you want to do more of. But it might be lots of other people. It might be somebody who you no longer work with but was a previous boss that you want to go and talk to and say, what do you think I should do more of? What would you suggest that I could do? Or it might be people who are 2 or 3 levels above your line manager in areas of the organisation that you're really interested in getting involved with. And with your view of what you can do, is you have a conversation. I'd love to tell you what I'm doing. I'd love to tell you what I'm thinking of my future, and I'd love to get your advice.
I think this point is so awesome, because I'm sorry to interrupt, but this point is awesome because, one, we as women don't toot our own horns because we have been told that this is wrong.
Correct.
And this doesn't only happen in corporations, it also can happen in what we are doing in our real life. So I like the fact that you said, go out and promote your work.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing, even if you're raising kids or I've heard women say, I'm just a housewife.
Yeah.
You know what? Just a housewife doesn't just happen. So don't take that lightly as well.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
And if women who are listening to this are more home-based, there's a whole series of things that they'll be doing. So some of it is, if they're bringing up children, that in itself is a huge job, and all of the way that you're learning to parent with the children and helping them with their successes is really, really fundamental skills. But you're also affecting the community. You're involved with the schools in some way. You're involved with community groups. You're involved with other volunteering things, because that often comes with the package of children. And there's all sorts of things there that are important, and they can be really important conversations, particularly if any of your listeners are women who are returning to the work and think, oh, well, I haven't done anything for the last few years. I've only brought up children. Only brought up children is probably the most important job in society. So there's no only about that.
Yes. You know, I catch that a lot when people I only, you know, don't say only, you know, because it's a big job. I've raised 4 kids, I know. So okay, last, I love the fact that go out and promote your work. Any last words, because we're coming closer to the show?
Yeah, I would say if there's any women who are listening who are unhappy with their career, don't know where to go, are struggling with their direction, apart from obviously the Female Edge will help with that as a book, and that's on Amazon, is just it takes some time, and this is probably about a 10-minute exercise to write down in 3 columns what I love about my job at the moment. So what are the things that I really, really like, or my role, or my company, what do I like at the moment that I really want to continue with? What are the things that I really don't like, but I either have to do or part of it? So make a note of what I don't like. And then the third career is, what do I want to do more of or have the opportunity to do that I don't do now? And write them down. And that 3 columns then allows you to step back and think, well, what could I do? What are the steps I could take to get more of a balance, so that, yes, there might be things I don't like in there, but they're the minority, and I'm doing more of the things that I like, I'm passionate about, and excite me.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, this doesn't only just happen to all the women who are in a job force or anything, but it could be if you are struggling as a coach, or you are struggling as your own businesswoman at home. You can take this and then reevaluate and then repurpose and create something different. And it has happened for me. And last year was a lot of restructuring for me, and it's coming out I'm still restructuring, but I'm on a new path of refocus. And it's really amazing how clear things get, right? Well, thank you so much. How do people find you, Mary?
Right. Well, they can find me at my website, which is findyourjoyfullife.com. So it's all one, findyourjoyfullife.com. And in there, you can find out a bit more about me. You can find out a bit more about the coaching programs. You can find out a bit more about the book. And there's lots of freebies on there. There's lots of free materials you can just download and try out, like the career map and the career compass.
And even men can join, right?
Completely, absolutely. Yeah.
So go ahead, and ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to a woman who is helping organization understand change, take the step to change. But that doesn't, an organization, like she said, is a collective of people who are trying to make this change. So if you are that one person, that one element that makes this a conglomerate, so if you are that person wanting to make that change, start there. Start with connecting with her. And you know what? If nothing else, just go for the freebies, because you never know. I think I have your book. I think I have it on Kindle, but I haven't read it yet because I'm not sure how we met exactly. But I think I do have your book on Kindle. And you know what? It's a step forward. You never know what you read, what you've heard today, or what you are going to hear today may be a catalyst in your next step of change or to transform. And I don't call it change, I call it transform, because that caterpillar has to become a butterfly, right? And for all of you listening, if you are if you are wanting to be a guest on my show, please go ahead and reach out to me. And if you like this show, we are on all platforms. Go ahead and promote this, because like, share, and subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, we are everywhere. And it's been a journey, and it's been wonderful. And my strength is people, and I love that. Till we meet again next week, have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.